My boyfriend was extremely socially anxious. Even after living together for 6 months, I had never truly seen him. In the morning, I would wake up to find a hearty breakfast laid out on the table, yet he was nowhere to be found. In the evening, I would return home to a spotless house with a delicious dinner ready and waiting. I would thank him through the door, and he would always reply, "You're welcome." One night, I woke up in the middle of the night and suddenly someone silently staring at me from the edge of the bed. Terrified, I screamed, but he was even more frightened than I was, stumbling and scrambling to flee. Later, I invited him to go on a trip with me. He leaned against the crack of the door, shaking his head. No. Frustrated, I said, "You're definitely coming with me this time." From the door crack, he slid out a photo of himself along with 100,000 yuan. In a cautious voice, he said, "Take my photo with you. That way, it'll feel like I'm right there with you." My boyfriend, Zhang Yuehuan, was extremely socially anxious and a complete homebody. If he could avoid speaking, he wouldn't say a word. If he could use WeChat to communicate, he would absolutely refuse to make a phone call. If he could avoid seeing people, he would definitely avoid seeing people. Asking him to go out and socialize? Unless you pointed a gun at his back, he absolutely wouldn't leave the house. Therefore, even though he was the son of the richest family, he was still single at 28 years old. His parents had tried countless ways to change him, but nothing worked. Eventually, they gave up on Zhang Yuehuan. Instead, they decided to focus their hopes on him having a child. They figured they could raise the kid properly to one day take over the family business. As for the rest, they decided to let him be. Zhang Yuehuan was extremely annoyed by this. After 3 years of relentless tug-of-war between him and his parents, Zhang Yuehuan finally agreed to go on blind dates. His parents cried tears of joy, spreading invitations far and wide, recruiting girls to meet him. But they seemed to forget that Zhang Yuehuan was extremely socially anxious and a homebody. Making him go on a blind date was no different from forcing him to jump into a fire pit. He was unwilling to go out, nor was he willing to meet anyone face to face. The girls with slightly better conditions were all driven away by his attitude, and the girls who were only after money? Zhang Yuehuan had zero interest in them. The plan to have him produce an heir came to a complete standstill. By the time he was 28, he was still single. His parents cried rivers of despair. Finally, they made a decision. They would try to have another child themselves. They wouldn't push Zhang Yuehuan to have kids anymore. In order to force Zhang Yuehuan to go out, his parents kicked him out of the house, dismissed all the servants, and cut off all his money. They thought this might help him change his socially anxious, reclusive lifestyle. What they didn't realize, though, was that someone who's socially anxious and a shut-in has no interest in material possessions and isn't particularly inclined to spend money. For 28 years, Zhang Yuehuan had saved all his New Year's money and pocket money in the bank, probably about 100 million yuan. At his level of spending, he wouldn't be able to finish that fortune in his lifetime. His parents were utterly devastated. But just then, a turning point emerged. Zhang Yuehuan was someone sentimental and deeply attached to the past. When his family dog passed away, he had taken on the responsibility of raising its puppy. When he was kicked out of the house, he brought the dog with him. The dog was energetic and needed daily walks. With no servant to help and an unwillingness to leave the house himself, Zhang Yuehuan had no choice but to post a part-time job listing for someone to come over daily to walk the dog. As it happened, I was broke and living near his apartment. When I saw the job posting, I contacted him right away and we hit it off instantly. I went to his place every day to walk his dog. In the morning, I'd walk the dog for an hour and earn 300 yuan a day, which was equivalent to the daily wage from my primary job. I was someone who had been poor for too long. For money, I was willing to wake up at 6 a.m., head to his house, walk the dog for an hour, and then go to work. But for a whole month of doing this, I never once saw Zhang Yuehuan in person. I always assumed the dog owner had gone out of town for work and wasn't at home, which was why he hired me to walk his dog. It was usually like this. Plus, every time I went to his house, it was deathly silent, like a haunted house. Then one day, just as I was about to take the dog outside, I suddenly heard a loud bang from inside the house. Startled, I froze and then cautiously asked, "Who's in there?" There was no response. I asked a few more times, but no one answered. Alarmed, I backed away and dialed the owner's number. A moment later, a ringtone sounded from behind the door. The call connected. I quickly lowered my voice and asked, "Mr. Zhang, is there someone in your house? Did you let them in?" A muffled voice came through the phone. "Yes." I let out a sigh of relief. "Your guest?" The voice on the phone replied. "It's me." "Ah, what?" I quickly glanced at the bedroom door. It was still tightly closed. "Oh, you came back from out of town? I thought it was a burglar." "No. Oh, okay, I get it now. You're not a burglar." The person on the phone said, "I've been home the whole time. I didn't go out of town." I was confused. He'd been home this whole time? "You were here all month?" There was a muffled from the other end. "Huh? He's been here the entire month?" Out of courtesy, I stepped forward and knocked on the door. A moment later, the door slowly creaked open, leaving a narrow gap. A pitch-black eye peeked out from behind the door, its gaze faint as it asked, "What do you want?" I jumped in fright, goosebumps rising all over my body. "Mr. Zhang?" The eye blinked. "Yeah." Was this really the owner of the house? For a moment, I didn't know what to say and was left speechless. He didn't say anything either. The room abruptly fell into silence. I suddenly felt that this house was chillingly cold, and I forced a smile. "Hello." The eye blinked again, hesitated for a moment, and said, "Hello." I asked, "I heard a loud noise just now. Are you all right?" He replied, "I'm fine. My Lego fell." The air fell silent again. Awkwardly, I muttered, "Oh." He asked, "Anything else?" I said, "No, nothing." The owner of the eye then closed the door. Staring at the tightly shut door, I stood frozen for a long while before quickly leading the dog outside. When I thought about it carefully, during the month I had been here, every time I entered the house, it was spotless, with everything arranged so neatly it bordered on obsessive. Even the dog cage was cleaned thoroughly, with dog food placed inside. Someone was clearly taking care of the house, but I had never seen the owner. In this entire month, I hadn't even heard a sound. That's why I assumed the owner wasn't around and that maybe a temporary worker was managing the place. But I never expected it. The owner had been in the house the entire time. Oh my God, he had been in the house the entire time. Why didn't he make a sound? Why didn't he come out? Thinking about those pitch-black eyes behind the door and his gloomy voice, a chill ran down my spine. Is this person normal? When I was at work, I couldn't focus, and the more I thought about it, the more dangerous it seemed. Why would walking a dog cost 300 yuan an hour? And considering I'm a young single woman, could it be that he was setting a trap for me? Many bad guys did this kind of thing. But then again, if it was a trap, it wouldn't make sense that nothing had happened for a whole month, right? After work, I rushed into a store and bought pepper spray, a stun baton, and a spring-loaded knife. I even gritted my teeth and signed up for boxing classes at the gym near my home. Everything I did was to guard against Zhang Yuhuan. If he had any bad intentions toward me, I'd be ready to fight back. Oh, why didn't I just quit the job? Maybe fellow broke people out there can understand. It's 300 yuan an hour for an easy gig. So I prepared myself diligently, staying on high alert every single day. Zhang Yuan still never left his house, nor did he make a sound. Every time I visited, the house was eerily quiet, as if he didn't exist at all. The more he was like this, the more afraid I became. At one point, I even thought he might as well just rush out and stab me already. Let's end this once and for all. As things progressed, I started having nightmares at night. The dreams always revolved around the gloomy eyes behind the door. Zhang Yuhuan stared at me intensely, one hand prying at the gap in the door, while his other hand, hidden behind him, gripped a knife. The room behind him was pitch black, filled with corpses. In the most recent nightmare, I dreamed Zhang Yuhuan was a serial killer. He cackled maniacally and said he'd rape me before killing me. Ah! I woke up screaming, jolting upright in bed. Staring at my reflection in the mirror, my dark eye circles were heavier than ever. At that moment, I decided to take the initiative and put an end to this inhuman, torturous silence. Half a month had already passed. On a bright and sunny morning, I mustered up my courage and slowly approached Zhang Yuhuan's bedroom. I hesitated for a full 3 minutes before finally knocking on the door. The door creaked open, revealing a narrow gap. A single pitch-black eye peered at me through the slit. "What is it?" Zhang Yuhuan's voice was low and deep, sounding almost identical to the tone he used before killing someone in my nightmares. My legs trembled, my mind went blank, and the words I wanted to say completely slipped away. After a long pause, I stammered, "Hello." He silently stared at me. Forcing myself to calm down, I said, "I haven't seen you these past few days. I thought you went out." "No, I've been here all along," he replied. "He's been here all along." The little person in my mind screamed silently, "So, why didn't you come out then?" "Why should I come out?" That caught me off guard. After thinking for a moment, I said, "Isn't it boring to stay in the house all day?" He shook his head. I added, "Going outside for some fresh air wouldn't hurt." Once again, he shook his head. I cautiously tried to lure him out, wanting to get a good look at him and check if the room behind him was stacked with corpses. But Zhang Yuhuan refused to come out no matter what. The more he was like this, the more afraid I became. Just when I didn't know what to do, he suddenly spoke in a low voice. "Could you please not talk to me anymore?" "Huh? I am scared." After walking the dog and heading to work, I was still confused. Zhang Yuan said he was scared? He was scared of me? Well, if he's scared of me, then I don't need to be scared of him. It must be my powerful aura, my dignified appearance, that had intimidated him. Feeling a bit smug, I walked into the office with my head held high, only to immediately drop the act and humbly hand over the documents to my bald boss, grinning like a blooming flower. "Please take a look." The bald boss glanced at me, snorted coldly, took the documents, and waved his hand to dismiss me. I obediently rolled away and returned to my desk, joining the group chat to complain about the bald boss. Deep down, I made a firm decision. I needed to save more money and switch jobs as soon as possible. If worst came to worst, I'd quit without a backup plan. After that conversation, I stopped having nightmares and was no longer afraid. Zhang Yuhuan's shrinking appearance when he said he was scared made me inflate with confidence, and I concluded that he most likely didn't have the guts to plot anything wrong. Since that was the case, I decided we could coexist peacefully. Of course, just in case, I still carried pepper spray and a dagger with me. With my worries lifted, I began enjoying early morning dog walks. Plus, earning 300 yuan from it made me feel even better. One day, I was walking the dog in the neighborhood again, and the usually docile dog suddenly barked loudly and lunged at a well-dressed, wealthy-looking lady. During this period of time, the dog had been very well behaved, and I had gradually let my guard down. It was just past 7 a.m., and the garden in the neighborhood was empty. So I had let the dog off the leash, letting it run around freely for a bit. I didn't expect that just this once, the dog would lunge at someone. My mind went completely blank with a buzzing sound. "Tang Tang, come back," I shouted, rushing over. The lady picked up Tang Tang and gave me a surprised look. Thank goodness, no one got bitten. I hurriedly apologized. "I'm so sorry, are you all right?" The lady replied, "I'm fine." Sweating profusely, I grabbed the dog, clipped on the leash, and scolded it. "No running around, no biting people, got it?" Tang Tang wagged its tail excitedly at me. "This dog seems very close to you," the lady said, giving me a once-over and smiling warmly. I nodded. "Of course, I walk it every morning, so we're pretty close." Her eyes lit up. "Every morning? Early in the morning?" I nodded again. "Yeah, first thing after I get up." The lady's excitement grew. "How long have you been walking it?" Feeling guilty, I answered all her questions. 2 months now." "Are you really okay?" The lady beamed at me like a blooming flower. "I'm fine." "Do you walk it alone? What about the dogs, Dad?" Without thinking, I replied, "Probably still sleeping." She grinned widely. "Oh, still sleeping, huh? You're working so hard, getting up early to walk the dog." I blinked, confused. It's not that hard. I mean, I get 300 yuan an hour for this." The lady happily left. I strictly walked the dog for a full hour before returning to Zhang Yuhuan's apartment. After putting the dog back in its cage, just as I was about to leave, my phone rang. I pulled it out and saw the caller ID, Mr. Jiang. "Me?" I looked speechlessly at the bedroom door. The dog had made such a ruckus earlier that he definitely heard it and knew I'd returned after walking it. We were in the same house. Why was he calling? Was his social anxiety that bad? "Mr. Jiang?" I was always more tolerant of my money giver, so I adjusted my expression and answered the call. "My mom came over," he said. I was baffled. What did his mom visiting have to do with me? "She mistook you for my girlfriend," Jang Yo-won explained. I was stunned. "She's seen me?" "Yeah, this morning." This morning, I suddenly recalled that elegantly dressed, bejeweled lady from earlier and realized, so that was Jang Yo-won's mom. Jang Yo-won continued, "She's been nagging me about getting married. I got annoyed and told her you were my girlfriend." "Huh?" Him. "Can you pretend to be my girlfriend?" I was confused. "Can you even fake something like that?" I walked to the bedroom door and knocked. "Mr. Jiang, can we talk about this properly?" "We are talking, aren't we?" he replied. I was speechless for a moment. "Can we talk face to face?" "There's no need. We can talk like this." I couldn't understand his behavior. Speaking through the door, I asked, "Do we have to talk like this?" He was silent for a moment, then said softly, "I'm sorry. I'm scared." For some reason, there was a pitiful undertone in his voice. I rubbed my temples and softened my tone. "Don't be scared. I don't bite." He whimpered. "So? I have social anxiety." I gave in. "Fine. Let's just talk like this then." After some conversation, I learned about Jang Yoo-hwan's situation of being pressured into marriage. He had severe social anxiety and didn't want to go on blind dates. Enraged, his parents kicked him out and decided to try having a child through IVF themselves. When the IVF attempt failed, his mother started harassing him again. Unexpectedly, she ran into me and mistakenly assumed I was his girlfriend. The whole situation was logical. Recalling my recent encounters with him, I finally confirmed that Jang Yo-hwan wasn't a bad person. He was just deeply socially anxious and unwilling to interact with others, which explained why he refused to leave his room. Well, as long as he's not a murderer, that's a relief. "I'll pay you 300 more a day if you pretend to be my girlfriend and stay in the room next door. I can cook for you," he suggested in a low voice. "Is that okay?" I was taken aback for a moment and replied, let me think about it." Even though I was relieved about Jang Yoo-hwan, pretending to be his girlfriend and living together as a single man and woman still felt way too strange. Jang Yo-hwan didn't say anything. Through the crack in the door, his eyes dimmed. In that moment, I inexplicably felt a pang of guilt, as if rejecting him was an unforgivable act. In the following period of time, I didn't speak a single word to Jang Yo-hwan. We were in the same apartment, but we didn't talk or even see each other. I was completely convinced that he had social anxiety. Whenever we needed to communicate, we did so through WeChat. His messages were always concise. If he could avoid saying an extra word, he absolutely would. If I didn't already know about his social anxiety, I would have thought he was cold and rude. He didn't ask me again if I could pretend to be his girlfriend, and I avoided this topic as well. It was pretty good for us to maintain a simple money giver and dog walker relationship. One day, when I returned to my rented apartment, my roommate rushed at me holding a bottle of shampoo and asked, "Did you use my shampoo?" I gave her a confused look and asked, "Why would you think I'd use your shampoo?" My roommate sneered, "I just bought it not long ago, and now there's only half a bottle left. There are only 2 of us living here. If it's not you, who else could it be?" Initially, I had rented this place with a coworker, but after they quit their job and moved out, the room was subleased to a delinquent woman. That's when my nightmare began. That girl was fussy about everything and constantly accused me of stealing her belongings. Arguments, big and small, happened endlessly. Unfortunately, the landlord had already collected half a year's rent, and it wasn't cost-effective to move out now, and I hadn't found a suitable new tenant, so I could only endure it. "Are you out of your mind? I have a massive bottle of shampoo myself. Why would I need to use yours?" I fumed as I stormed into the bathroom and brought out my own bottle. "Take a good look. This bottle is huge and there's still so much left. Why would I bother stealing yours?" She retorted, "I remember you bought that bottle a long time ago. Why is there still so much left? You must have been secretly using mine." I was utterly stunned. We ended up having a massive fight. She then cried and called her boyfriend, claiming I was bullying her. Over the phone, her boyfriend sounded furious and started threatening me, saying that he was nearby and would come to my door to beat me up immediately. I was both enraged and terrified, breaking out in a cold sweat. Acting on impulse, I quickly dialed Zhang Yuehuan's number. He lived in the next neighborhood, so he could be here in no time. At worst, I would pretend to be his girlfriend for free. Beep beep, the call connected. Zhang Yuehuan. I suddenly felt a little nervous, but backing out now would be too embarrassing, so I forced myself to speak. Come and help me quickly. Huh? I gritted my teeth. Aren't you my boyfriend? I agreed to it. I'm being bullied. Come here now. There was a long silence on the other end. Just when I thought he wasn't coming, he said, okay? Okay? Did he really agree to leave his house for me? 10 minutes later, my roommate's tattooed boyfriend was already in the apartment. I panicked and called Zhang Yuehuan again. Are you here yet? My roommate's boyfriend is already inside, and he's going to hit me. I've been here a long time ago, he said in a muffled voice. But I'm not the owner or tenant, so the security guard won't let me in. I was stunned. Then explain the situation and ask them to let you in. The property management in this lousy neighborhood isn't strict. You can get in with just any excuse. I don't want to talk. I quickly imagined the scene. Zhang Yuehuan standing at the gate of the neighborhood, the security guard asking what he was doing there, him standing silently without a word, and the guard simply ignoring him while he just stood there blankly. My emotions were incredibly complicated. A man like this, whoever dates him is seriously unlucky. I put away my phone and quickly plastered on a wide smile. Big brother, let's talk this out calmly. Please, have a seat. I was being as polite as possible, thinking I could get away with it. Who would have thought that my submissive attitude only made the two of them feel more in control? Growing even more arrogant and overbearing, I held my temper for as long as I could before finally snapping. You bitch! How dare you bully my Mei-Mei? The tattooed thug raised his bowl-sized fist and advanced toward me menacingly. At that moment, there was a loud knock at the door. Who the hell is it? The tattooed thug growled impatiently. The person outside didn't respond, only continued knocking persistently. Frustrated, the thug angrily yanked the door open. Then there was a scream of "Ah!" as he clutched his eyes and stumbled backward. Everyone was shocked. Under the dim light, I saw a tall, dark shadow standing outside. The figure was lanky, wearing a black hoodie with the hood pulled over their head, obscuring their face. Holy crap, sneak attack? The thug immediately let go of me, enraged, and charged toward the man at the door. The man stretched out a hand that was big and powerful and very pale. He grabbed the thug effortlessly and, amidst the man's shocked expression, yanked him outside. From the darkness of the hallway came a sharp scream, but it didn't last long before fading into silence. The delinquent girl stood there, completely stunned. I quickly struck a proud pose. See that? My boyfriend! Mess with me, and that's what happens. The delinquent girl shot me a fearful look before chased out. I followed behind and found the thug sitting in the hallway, wiping tears from his eyes. The man in black had already disappeared. The delinquent girl helped the thug to the hospital. I was overjoyed and quickly called Zhang Yuehuan. Was that you just now? Yeah, huh? It really was Zhang Yuehuan? Wasn't he supposed to be a socially anxious homebody? How come he had such a great build and so much strength? I thought it, and I asked it. Zhang Yuehuan said, I work out. Me? I didn't see any workout equipment in your place, though? Him? It's in my room. Oh! And then silence. I asked again, weren't you stopped by security outside? How did you even get in? He said, I climbed the wall. He climbed the wall. Me, oh, so why did you just go straight to hitting him when you got here? He replied softly, I didn't want to talk to him. I was speechless once again. Didn't want to talk, so he climbed over the wall into the neighborhood. Didn't want to talk, so he just skipped the words and went straight to throwing hands. Is he socially anxious or is he socially fearless? A man like this, whoever dates him is seriously lucky. I thought for a moment and said, Zhang Yuehuan, I want to be your girlfriend. He replied, okay. The next day, I quickly canceled my lease and moved into Zhang Yuehuan's place. Zhang Yuehuan's house only had 2 bedrooms. The room I moved into was quite small and had been used as a storage space before. When I arrived, I found that all the clutter in the room had been cleared out. The space was spotless and various pieces of furniture had been thoughtfully arranged. I was genuinely surprised since I had been prepared to sleep on the sofa. Moreover, the door to the room had been specially equipped with a combination lock. When I saw the lock, I froze for a moment, and then a wave of emotion surged in my heart. Although Jang Yo-won was a bit odd, he was very considerate. He understood what girls might be afraid of. After unpacking my luggage, I walked to his bedroom door and knocked. The door opened just a crack, and Jang Yo-won peeked out from inside. "What's the matter?" I smiled at him. "Thank you," Jang Yo-won said. "You're welcome." I started living together with Jang Yo-won. I pretended to be his girlfriend to deal with his mom. After living together for a while, I had already met his mom twice, but I still hadn't met him in person. I had no idea what he looked like. Every morning when I woke up, a hearty breakfast would already be prepared in the dining room. Oatmeal, bread, milk, coffee, all arranged neatly and beautifully. After breakfast, I'd head downstairs to walk the dog, and when I finished, I'd go home, tidy up, and head to work. By the time I got back in the evening, the house would be spotless, windows sparkling, not a speck of dust anywhere, and there'd be a delicious dinner waiting on the table. I wasn't picky about food. Whatever he cooked, I ate. What surprised me was that he could cook dishes from several different cuisines, switching it up every day, and he was really good at it. Being his girlfriend was really blissful. After dinner, I'd walk to his bedroom door and knock lightly. "Jang Yo-won, thank you." "You're welcome." "Do you even know how to cook Cantonese dishes?" I had nothing to do at home, so I researched it. I gave him a thumbs up, a model husband and father material indeed. Jang Yo-won almost never went out. He mostly relied on food delivery apps, silently ordering all kinds of ingredients online every day, and having the delivery workers drop them off at the door. He wouldn't answer the door himself. He'd ask them to leave it outside and go. Only after the delivery person left would he step out, bring the items inside, and carefully check them one by one. With nothing else to do at home, he would clean the house, play with the dog, and cook his own meals. I had seen the ingredients he cut in the fridge: potatoes sliced as finely as strands of hair, meat strips all uniform in size. You couldn't achieve that level of precision without at least 10 years of knife skills. He also had a bit of OCD. Everything had to be placed in a specific spot. Items in the fridge and living room were always neatly arranged. They had to be sorted and placed according to size and color, otherwise he would go crazy. But since he was socially anxious, his version of going crazy was just texting me. "Please return items to their original position after use." Image. I was puzzled. Didn't I already put it back where it was? The colors and sizes are not logical. My mind was full of question marks. Logic? It was the first time I'd heard someone say that placing items at home needed logic. When I asked him about it, he got angry and ignored me. Later that evening, he made me a bowl of insanely spicy beef noodles, so spicy I had to throw open the fridge and chug mineral water. I realized that he was angry and quickly walked to his door to apologize. "I'm sorry. I will be logical next time." From behind the door, he responded, "Okay." I grabbed a notebook and humbly sought his guidance. Finally willing to engage, he began teaching me through the door. The living room follows a modern minimalist design. The coffee table aligns with the TV screen. From a visual perspective, the vase needs to be on the right. Smaller items should go in front, arranged from large to small, dark to light. In the fridge, the first shelf is for vegetables, the second shelf for meats, the third for leftovers. Leftovers must be covered with plastic wrap. Eggs go on the first shelf. Spherical vegetables like potatoes and tomatoes go in the second drawer. Mineral water should be placed in the right side door because it's frequently used, while milk goes on the left. I quickly took notes, nodding as I wrote. "All right, got it." He even explained the organization of the kitchen and bathroom. I said, "Okay, I've noted everything down." He was silent for a moment before softly asking, "Do you think I'm annoying?" I shook my head. "Not at all. After all, I'm not the one doing the cleaning, organizing, or cooking." That made him laugh. "Yes, let me do them." Everyone has their own habits. As long as they aren't too extreme, I've always respected them. I followed the notebook's instructions to the letter, and Jang Yo-won and I coexisted peacefully. He seemed to think I was easy to get along with as well. Sometimes, He would take the initiative to message me on WeChat with random, trivial topics. I asked, "Aren't you socially anxious? How come you're the one reaching out to me?" He replied, "You're different." I pressed him to ask how exactly I was different, but he started being socially anxious again and didn't answer. Occasionally, I would recall the day he knocked on the door of my rented apartment, reached out, and yanked that tattooed thug outside to give him a serious beating. He was tall and broad-shouldered, nothing like the reclusive homebody I had imagined. I couldn't help but wonder, if he stayed in his room all day, where exactly did he work out? I was growing increasingly curious about what he really looked like. One morning, while walking my dog, I ran into some neighbors who were also dog owners. Over time, we got familiar with each other. During one of our chats about the apartments, one of them mentioned, "The layout of your unit has 3 bedrooms, right? Did you guys combine 2 of the rooms into one?" I froze for a moment before suddenly realizing perhaps Jiang Yuhuan's bedroom was made by combining 2 rooms into one. My curiosity only deepened. What on earth did he keep in there? Of course, I never crossed the line. I consider myself someone with a good sense of boundaries. Jiang Yuhuan was my boss. I couldn't afford to do anything that might annoy him. In the blink of an eye, it was the end of the month, and Jiang Yuhuan gave me double wages. I told him that I wouldn't charge for pretending to be his girlfriend, as thanks for his help last time, but he insisted on giving it. I couldn't turn him down, especially since I was short on cash. So I accepted it happily and bought a pack of barbecue skewers and a few cans of beer before knocking on his door. "Come out for a late-night snack. My treat." "No thanks," he refused. I didn't press him and disappointedly took the barbecue and beer to the living room, turned on the TV and entertained myself. After a while, my phone rang. I picked it up and saw the caller ID, Mr. Jiang. I glanced back at the door of his bedroom, confused, and answered the call. "Jiang Yuehuan?" A deep voice came through the line. "Are you upset?" I denied it. "No," he replied. "You invited me to eat, and I'm really happy. No one other than my parents has ever done that, but I really don't want to come out, so please don't be mad." I laughed. "I'm not upset." He hesitated for a moment, as if making up his mind about something. "I've noticed everything you've done these past few days. I'll try my best." Huh? I was confused. What had I done these past few days? What was he going to try his best at? When people talked to me before, I didn't want to respond. They would quickly leave, thinking I was strange and spreading all sorts of rumors about me, he said. "But you're different. You've always been tolerant of me." I thought he might have misunderstood. Everything I did was simply to please the boss who funded me. I gave a dry laugh. "Actually, you're a really good person." I didn't dare mention that at the beginning, I had fantasized about him being a serial killer. I had nightmares for days and almost quit and ran away. "I'll work hard to change and talk to you more," he said with determination. For some reason, that made me happy. "Actually, there's no need to force yourself. The way we get along now is fine. Living under the same roof, but having to call each other to talk." It sounded ridiculous if anyone else heard it. However, when it came to Jiang Yuhuan, I found it kind of cute, and it wasn't unacceptable. One of us was in the bedroom, the other in the living room, casually chatting over the phone. It was the longest conversation I had with Jiang Yuhuan in months. By coincidence, there was a match on TV over the weekend. I didn't really understand it, so he started explaining it to me. "That player is named Rodell." I was surprised. "How do you know what's on TV? Are you spying on me?" He was silent for a moment. "I have a computer." Me. I couldn't help but laugh. We were in the same house, but he didn't watch TV and insisted on watching the match on his computer. I decided not to argue about it and started asking him questions about the match. Jiang Yuhuan answered every question thoroughly, his knowledge incredibly vast. It could be said he knew everything from astronomy to geography. I was amazed. "Wow, you actually know so much," he replied. "Being socially anxious doesn't mean I'm uneducated." I really wanted to ask if he had ever gone to school, when exactly he started staying indoors all the time. But just as the words were about to leave my mouth, I swallowed them back, deciding not to ruin the mood. We chatted casually, and before I realized it, all the beer was gone. I felt a bit sleepy. Enough chatting, I'm going to bed. I I turned off the TV, arranged everything on the coffee table by size and color, and groggily headed to the bathroom to wash up. I turned on the faucet and enjoyed a nice shower. While showering, bit by bit, I lost all awareness. When I woke up again, I found myself lying on an unfamiliar bed. I blinked a few times, and it took a while before I fully came to my senses. Quickly, I sat up. The soft blanket slid off my body, and as I glanced down at myself, I let out an earth-shattering scream. There was a knock on the door, followed by Zhang Yuehuan's voice. "Are you okay?" I was panicked. "Where am I?" He answered from behind the door. "You're in my room." "What?" "You fell asleep in the bathroom last night. I couldn't open your door, so I carried you into my bedroom. I was naked." On the verge of a breakdown, I asked, "You saw everything?" He went silent for a moment before replying with a soft yes. I clutched my head and screamed silently. Then he said, "I will take responsibility." I lowered my hands, stunned. "Take responsibility?" From behind the door, his voice came through, firm and steady. "Han Xiao Xiao, be my girlfriend." I grew even more nervous. "Aren't I already your girlfriend?" "I mean a real girlfriend." I felt quite awkward and pretended to examine the room to change the subject. "Your room is really big," I said. The two bedrooms were connected, making the space extremely spacious. On the far end, there was a fitness area. There was a treadmill, a rowing machine, an ab wheel, and all kinds of equipment. The other wall was entirely filled with Lego sets. It wasn't like I had imagined before, no corpses and not dark or gloomy at all. "Yeah," he replied. "The wardrobe is right there. You can grab something to wear." I quickly got up to fetch some clothes. Zhang Yuhuan's shirt was oversized and carried a fresh, clean scent. With my hand resting on the doorknob, I spent a whole minute mentally preparing myself before mustering the courage to open the door and face him. But when I opened the door, there wasn't even a single trace of him. I stood there speechless for a moment. "Zhang Yuehuan?" His muffled voice came from the bathroom. "I'm here." Did he really need to hide in the bathroom? It's not like I was some kind of man-eating beast. Moreover, I was the one who was seen naked. I should be the one hiding. I rubbed my temples. "You're still not willing to face me?" he said. "I'm scared." "Scared, my foot." I rolled my eyes. It was quite embarrassing at first, but after he did this, I suddenly felt that it was quite unnecessary to be embarrassed for such a person. "Let's just pretend last night never happened," I said. "I'm heading to work." The two of us returned to our normal lives. Zhang Yuehuan didn't ask me to be his real girlfriend again. One weekend after I got home from work, I found a lavish meal laid out on the dining table, along with a small cake. I skillfully called Zhang Yuehuan. "Is this for me?" he asked. "Do you like it?" "I do," I replied. I picked up the cake and started eating. Halfway through, my teeth hit something hard. Hiss! I pulled out the object, and under the light, a giant diamond ring nearly blinded me. "What is this?" My heart was racing. The dazzling diamond sparkled brilliantly under the light, an allure no woman could resist. "Han Xiao Xiao, be my girlfriend." Zhang Yuehuan's voice came through the phone. "No," I refused. He was at a loss. "You don't like it?" I shook my head. "I've never even seen what you look like. How could I agree to be your girlfriend?" Being roommates without seeing each other was fine, but being lovers without meeting? That wouldn't work. He fell silent. I was just about to say something when the doorbell rang. I quickly went to open the door. The person standing outside was Zhang Yuehuan's mom. When I opened the door, she seemed startled to see me. Then her eyes lit up with a sharp gleam as she said, "Han Xiao Xiao, you're still here?" I replied, "Ah, yes." "I thought he found someone fake to fool me," she said, beaming as she stepped inside with the cake in her hands. "Where's Zhang Yuehuan?" Wiping the sweat off my forehead, I said he's in his room. Zhang Yuehuan's mom wasn't someone you could easily fool. She immediately called out, "Zhang Yuehuan, happy birthday!" That was when I realized it was Zhang Yuehuan's birthday today. Mother Zhang placed the cake on the dining table and then went to say a few words to Zhang Yuehuan and happily walked to my side. "Xiao Xiao, are you and Yuehuan getting along well?" "Not bad," I replied, awkwardly unsure of where to put my hands and feet. He's a bit peculiar in temperament, but he's truly a great person. Mother Zhang started chatting away enthusiastically. I listened quietly and chimed in. "Zhang Yuehuan is great, handsome, good-natured, loves cleanliness, does housework. No man could be better than him. Mother Jiang instantly teared up with emotion. Finally, a girl who appreciates my Yohuan like this. I'm so happy that you're dating. I didn't deny it. After all, I had accepted money to pretend to be Jiang Yohuan's girlfriend. Suddenly, Mother Jiang asked, "When are you two getting married?" I was momentarily stunned and blushed. "Let's talk about it later. We've just started dating." True. She took my hand. It's good to take time to get to know each other, but don't drag it out too long. You're already living together. It's not good if you don't get married. Marriage should be done as soon as possible. After speaking, she quickly took off the jade bracelet on her wrist. "Here, let Mom put this on you." Wait, we're already at the stage where she's calling herself Mom? I quickly refused. "Auntie, I can't accept this." The jade bracelet was smooth, translucent, and clearly expensive at a glance. I loved money, but as the saying goes, a gentleman loves wealth but earns it righteously. I didn't dare to just accept something like this so casually. "You've been living with Yue Huan for so long, but you don't even have any jewelry to wear. He doesn't understand these things, but how could I not? Here, take this. Consider this as a meeting gift." Mother Jiang shoved the bracelet into my hand, and it almost fell. I was startled and quickly caught it. "All right then, I won't disturb you two lovebirds any longer." Mother Jiang left with a big smile, quickly slipping away. The house returned to silence. Holding the jade bracelet, I walked to Jiang Yuhuan's door, knocked, and said, "Jiang Yuhuan, your mom doesn't know the truth. She gave me this jade bracelet. Here, take it back." The door opened a crack, and an eye peeked out from behind. "Just keep it." "It's too valuable, I can't accept it," I said, shaking my head. He replied, "It's not that expensive. This bracelet is probably only worth about 100,000 yuan. "What do you mean by only about 100,000 yuan? I was stunned and suddenly felt like the bracelet in my hand weighed 1,000 pounds. "Then I definitely can't accept it," I said. "Why not?" "Because I'm not your girlfriend." He was silent for a moment before saying, "Why can't you be my girlfriend? I've already seen you naked." Blushing, I interrupted him, "So what if you've seen me? I haven't even seen what you look like. How could I be your girlfriend?" Him, "Do I really have to show you my face for you to be my girlfriend?" Me, "Of course. Isn't that obvious? If you see me, will you agree to be my girlfriend?" Without thinking, I answered, "Yes." A moment later, a photo slid through the crack in the door. This is what I look like. Me. Jiang Yuhuan was socially anxious. He always spoke in a soft voice, constantly apologized, saying, "I'm sorry," and also said he was afraid of me. This made me inflate with confidence, feeling that I was strong and he was weak. I completely forgot that day. Despite his social anxiety, he climbed over the wall to sneak into the neighborhood, broke into my rental apartment, and dragged that tattooed thug out to beat him up. I also forgot that day when we watched the soccer match, how he seemed to know everything and could talk about anything. Why did I subconsciously forget how impressive he could be and instead see him as weak and easy to bully? And then, without realizing it, I fell into his trap. "You're too cunning," I said angrily. Through the door, he replied, "But you promised. You said if you saw what I looked like, you'd agree to be my girlfriend. You never said it had to be in person." I was speechless. Frustrated, I started to lose my temper. "Can't I at least meet you face to face?" "I'm sorry. I'm scared." He repeated the same words he always used, weakly pleading, "Today is my birthday. Can you agree to me?" His words left me completely choked up. Furious, I stormed away, slamming the door as I retreated to my own room. Sitting on the bed, I pulled out Jiang Yuhuan's photo. Damn, he was ridiculously handsome. A high nose bridge, big eyes, fair skin. I had initially thought he would be a chubby, reclusive homebody. I never expected him to be such a good-looking guy. After some calm and rational thinking, I suddenly realized that being his girlfriend wasn't a bad deal at all. He would handle all the housework, he was incredibly handsome, and I would come home to enjoy life without having to take care of him. Wait. I immediately called him and asked warily, "Jiang Yuhuan, is the reason you want me to be your girlfriend because you don't want to pay me a salary?" This time, it was his turn to sound both amused and exasperated. "No salary, but I'll give you pocket money. All my money is yours to spend." The next morning, I woke up to find a bank card and a note slipped under the door, with a password written on it. Excitedly, I took the card to the bank counter to check. Half an hour later, I walked out utterly dazed. There was 10 million inside. Jang Yue-hwan sent me a message. I've used the rest of the money to buy stocks, funds, and investments, so I can't take it out for now. I'll give it to you after some time. I was on the verge of losing it. Enough, don't bother. Even if I were someone pure and untainted, I couldn't endure this kind of financial test. He replied, okay, and just like that, I became Jang Yue-hwan's girlfriend. With the money in hand, I felt much more confident. Although I would probably not touch this money, having the card in my hand gave me a great sense of security. When my bald boss tried to shove work onto me that wasn't my responsibility again, I pulled a long face and outright refused. No, I won't do it. The boss widened his eyes in disbelief, staring at me. You won't do it? Who gave you the nerve? I said. Why should I do work that's clearly not mine? And even if I did, I haven't seen you giving me a raise. The bald boss slammed his hand on the desk. Outrageous! He gave me a thorough scolding. I didn't back down and sent the evidence I had collected before directly to the general manager, and also copied it to others. I had actually prepared the evidence a long time ago, but I'd been holding on to it out of fear of dragging myself down with him if things turned ugly. The entire company was in an uproar. Xiao Xiao, you're so bold, a colleague told me. Privately, we all complained about our bald boss, cursing him for being out of line, but that was all it ever amounted to, just complaining. No one dared to actually do anything. Others praised me one after another. Only my best friend pulled me to the hallway. Are you stupid? Sure, it feels good to stand out now. But even if you're in the right, the higher-ups won't like how aggressive you are. In the future, they won't consider you for any good opportunities, let alone promotions or raises. I shrugged. That's exactly how I used to think, which is why I kept putting up with it. But now, I don't feel like enduring it anymore. After all, I have money now. My friend patted my shoulder and sighed. What's done is done. Just keep moving forward. At worst, you can quit. Though it's a shame the economy isn't doing well right now, finding a job won't be easy. I said, I'll just take it one step at a time. Things will work themselves out when the time comes. After I sent that email, the bald boss got criticized, but that was it. Someone up high was protecting him. It left me frustrated. I started getting targeted with petty little punishments every day. When I got home, I couldn't hold back my complaints. Jang Yue-hwan called me. Are you unhappy? How could I be happy? That bald jerk keeps messing with me. I rambled on, venting my frustrations. He listened quietly and finally asked, which company are you working at? I told him the name and continued complaining. They claim to be a reputable, publicly listed private company, but they handle things just like a small business. There's no way they'll go far in the future. The next day I went to work, and by the afternoon, I heard that the major shareholder was coming to the company for an inspection and had requested everyone to line up and greet them. The major shareholder is coming to inspect our crappy department? Everyone found it hard to believe. Despite the confusion, we all lined up properly. After a while, Mother Jiang appeared at the glass door. I was dumbfounded. Mother Jiang, accompanied by the general manager, personally came to our department and scolded my bald boss. She even praised me for my courage and sense of justice in reporting unethical practices. I was dumbfounded. After she left, the general manager deliberately came over to commend me. From his words, I learned that Mother Jiang's surname was Lin, and she was none other than the wife of the chairman of the renowned Jiang Corporation. What? What? The Jiang family? The richest family. Then Jang Yue-hwan? He is the legendary son of the richest family? I pulled out my phone, intending to call and confirm, but in the end, I gave up. The general manager wouldn't lie. I opened a webpage and saw countless photos of Mother Jiang, as the chairman's wife, attending various events. I was left speechless. When I got home that evening and saw the lavish dinner on the table, I felt a wave of inner conflict. The son of the richest family personally cooking for me? No, no, no. I better not be so clueless. I quickly sent a message to Jang Yue-hwan. Don't cook for me anymore. I'll eat out. Before, I was still happily thinking about dating Jang Yue-hwan, but after learning about his background, I didn't think for a second that I could actually become his girlfriend. My greatest strength is my self-awareness. I know my limits and would never aim too high. My last relationship only made me understand this even more clearly. Maybe because I look pretty, the guys who like me are all quite wealthy. My ex-boyfriend was one of the best among them. Even after 3 years of college dating, despite my constant efforts to become someone worthy of him, it all came to nothing in the end. Whenever we went out, others would nitpick me, look down on me, and assume I was just a gold digger. At first, my ex-boyfriend would defend me, but after a few arguments, whenever we went out, he would sit coldly on the side, watching others give me a hard time. It was like he wanted me to understand the gap in status between us, to remind me that I needed to rely on him to live a good life. Everyone has a temper. It's impossible to accommodate someone in everything. After a few clashes, his love for me slowly faded. Later, his family got involved. He decided I wasn't worth fighting for, so he quickly proposed a breakup. At the time, out of spite, I calculated the cost of all the gifts he gave me and the meals he paid for, then returned every penny to him, declaring that I wouldn't take advantage of him in the slightest. That move left me completely broke, and even in debt. When I came to my senses afterward, I regretted it immensely. Why did I insist on being so stubborn? We weren't going to cross paths ever again anyway, so why return all the money? I could have just given back part of it, at least not to be in debt. But alas, there's no such thing as a regret pill in life. Jang Ye-hwan is even wealthier, and his circle would look down on me even more. I'm not going to set myself up for more humiliation. I wanted to break up, but I didn't know how to bring it up, so I kept delaying it. In the following period of time, I stopped eating at home. After walking the dog, I would head out and only return very late at night. After Mother Jang praised me that day, my standing in the company improved significantly, eventually leading to a promotion. Others said it was because I had contributed to the report, but I knew in my heart that it was because Mother Jang had stepped in. I ate out every day and firmly avoided touching Jang Ye-hwan's things. At night, I would come home, wash up immediately, and go to bed. One night, while I was half asleep, I suddenly felt someone by the side of the bed. I snapped my eyes open and screamed, "Who is it?" The shadow by the bed jumped in fright and scrambled to run out. "Stop right there." I grabbed a pillow and threw it at them. The shadow ran even faster. I chased after it, but the person had disappeared. Turning on the lights, the house was completely empty. I thought for a moment, then walked to Jang Ye-hwan's room and asked, "Was that you just now?" A muffled voice came from behind the door. "Yes." I was speechless. "Why did you run?" He was silent for a moment before saying, "I went into your room without permission." "Oh, your door wasn't locked and you haven't talked to me or eaten in days. I was really worried," he explained. I rubbed my temples. "Jang Ye-hwan?" "Yes." His voice was tense. I said, "Let's go on a trip." "No," he refused, as expected. I said, "What if I insist on you going with me?" He replied, I'm scared. I won't go." I pressed my lips together, preparing to say the words to break up with him. That's right. I had been considering breaking up. Tonight felt like the perfect opportunity. If I made a request and he refused, it would give me a valid reason to leave. Suddenly, the door opened slightly, and a hand stretched out, holding a photograph and a stack of cash. "Take my photo with you." "It'll be like I went with you," he said. I nearly burst out laughing. "What would it look like if I carried your photo around on a trip? People would think I'm carrying a memorial portrait." I pushed the photo and money back to him. "Fine, if you don't want to go, then we won't go." There was no sound from inside the room. I stayed silent for a moment before asking him, "Jang Ye-hwan, can I see you?" The room was quiet, no response. "Well, that's fine. If I don't see him, I won't miss him." I smiled, turned around, and went back to my room. After packing up my things, I dragged my suitcase and left. I didn't think I was in a relationship with Jang Ye-hwan. After all, we hadn't even met. He only wanted to take responsibility because he had seen my body, and that's why he asked me to be his girlfriend. With the example of my ex-boyfriend in mind, I decided to leave early before I got in too deep and ended up hurt. I took the money I had earned from walking the dog, but I left behind the bank card and jade bracelet. Now that I had saved up enough money, I could pay off my debts, and things would start to get better in the future. After paying off the debt on my phone, I let out a huge sigh of relief. As I walked out of the neighborhood, I sent a message to Jiang Yuhuan. Someone who can't even be by my side for a trip isn't suited for a relationship. Let's break up. I deleted his contact information, showed a big smile, and got into a ride-hailing car to go to my friend's house. Here I come, new life. I submitted my resignation to the company. Everyone found it unbelievable. A friend asked me, "Why are you quitting your job?" I replied, "I want to take a break for a while." You might miss this opportunity, and it'll be harder to find another one in the future. Yes, but I don't regret it. If I continued to stay in the company and broke up with Jiang Yuhuan, his mother would be unhappy, and with just a casual word, I would live in dire straits. To avoid trouble, it was best to make a clean break. I insisted on leaving. The company put on a show of trying to keep me, but they let me go soon after. In their eyes, I was already a troublemaker. Last time, they had no choice but to promote me. So now that I resigned on my own, of course, they readily agreed. I started job hunting everywhere, living each day both exhausting and fulfilling. That day, when I returned to the downstairs of my friend's apartment, I noticed a man crouching by the flower bed. He was wearing a hoodie, and the hood was pulled tightly over his head. At first, I didn't pay him much attention, but then he suddenly stood up, his long legs quickly striding toward me to block my path. With a familiar voice, he said, "Han Xiao Xiao." I widened my eyes. "You." The man hesitated for a moment before taking off his hood, revealing a pale yet strikingly handsome face. Jiang Yuhuan. He looked just like he did in the photos, tall, charming, and unmatched in looks. My heart pounded furiously. His eyes were dark and glossy, reminiscent of a big dog's gaze, carrying a hint of pitifulness as he cautiously asked, "I'll accompany you to travel. Can we not break up?" My feelings were complicated. "Jiang Yuhuan, what are you doing?" He looked a bit flustered. I'm begging you not to leave," I replied. "You're the young master of the Jiang family. There are plenty of women out there who are a perfect match for you. Why are you clinging to me? You don't even like me." "Who said I don't like you?" he blurted out anxiously. "I'm not the type to say I like you so casually. I like you. That's why I started dating you." His anxious look softened my heart. He was different from other men. Perhaps because of his social anxiety and lack of exposure to the complexities of human interactions, there was a purity in his gaze, and he wasn't good at lying. I said, "The gap between us is too big. You're the son of the richest family, and I'm just an ordinary girl. We're not suitable for each other." "What do you mean you're not suitable? Who would dare say you aren't?" A sharp voice suddenly rang out from the side. I turned my head to see Mother Jiang and an unfamiliar man crouching behind the flower bed. The moment they saw me, the two quickly ducked back out of sight. Me. I looked at the man in front of me with an indescribable expression and asked, "Do you even bring your mother when you're dating?" Jiang Yuhuan hurriedly said, "I didn't know my parents followed me here." Mother Jiang and Father Jiang sheepishly stood up from behind the flower bed. Father Jiang walked over and said, "I'm Jiang Yuhuan's father, Jiang Cheng. A pleasure to meet you." Mother Jiang grabbed my hand enthusiastically and said, "Don't worry, Xiao Xiao. We're not the kind of people who care about family background. Honestly, none of the families are richer than ours anyway, so why would I care whether a girl's family has money or not?" Me. She continued, "Rest assured, we really like you. Don't dismiss Yuhuan just because he's the son of the Jiang family. If you really can't accept him, we can immediately sever our parent-child relationship and kick him out of the family." Me. The legendary figures were standing right in front of me, and I couldn't help but feel a little nervous. I was completely dazed when they dragged me into a car and whisked me off to their suburban villa in no time. Mother Jiang summoned all the relatives and officially announced that I was Jiang Yuhuan's girlfriend, forbidding anyone to treat me disrespectfully. The whole process left me utterly swept along, and by the time I came to my senses, I was already recognized as the Jiang family's prospective daughter-in-law. Standing on the terrace, letting the wind blow against me, I felt conflicted. Jiang Yuhuan walked up beside me. "Are you feeling uncomfortable?" "No," I shook my head. "I can tell, though, that you're not comfortable with my mom's arrangements," he said. I didn't deny it. He took my hand and led me downstairs, where we got into a Jeep. Though Zhang Yuehuan's expression was slightly unnatural, it was clear he was trying his best to restrain his fear of contact with people. Let's go. Where to? Didn't you want to travel? But you decide where to go. I was surprised. There are so many people. Wouldn't it be inappropriate to just leave like this? Zhang Yuehuan said, I have social anxiety. I don't like crowds. They all know I have a strange personality, so it's perfectly normal for me to take you and leave. I finally asked the question that had been on my mind. Why did you suddenly decide to come out from your room? He tilted his head and looked at me for a moment, then leaned in, lightly kissed my cheek, and quickly pulled back. Shyly, he said, I like you. After you left, I thought, if I didn't come after you, I might miss you forever. So, I came. I was a little moved. I was well aware of Zhang Yuehuan's severe social anxiety. For him to overcome that fear and step out into the world, it was truly not an easy feat. Back then, when I forced him to go on a trip with me, I was certain that he couldn't do it, and then I would use this as a reason to propose breaking up. But he came out from his room. Not only that, but his parents didn't look down on me like my ex-boyfriend's parents did. So, maybe I should give him a chance? And maybe give myself one too? The engine roared as the Jeep drove down a flower-lined path. Why do you have such bad social anxiety? I asked. He replied, when I was a kid, I was kidnapped 3 times by people around me. It was terrifying. I don't understand what people are really thinking. They smile at me, but they have ulterior motives. I find people scary, so I became socially anxious. I asked, then why aren't you afraid of me? He was silent for a moment, then said, I don't know. When you came to my side, I looked at you through the window and suddenly felt that if it was this person, I could accept her being by my side forever. I laughed. He quickly added, I'm not casual about this. You're the first girl I've ever dated. Really? I was surprised. The first one? He said, yes, because of social anxiety, I have no friends, let alone a lover. Oh, that actually made sense. I nodded. But you know, if you want me to be your girlfriend, I have to agree to it first. You can't just assume that if you want it, I'll have to comply, right? Oh, he stopped the car by the side of the road, turned his head and stared at me gloomily. Is that not okay? I thought you already agreed. His worry was so obvious, like a big, anxious puppy. I couldn't help but soften. He always managed to hit the softest part of my heart. It's not that it's not okay. His eyes immediately lit up. I smiled and said, we can try dating first. He cupped my face in his hands, making a solemn promise. All right, I'll make you fall in love with me. As the sun set, we shared a gentle kiss. The path was filled with the scent of blooming flowers. It's okay. When I brought up traveling back then, this is the end of the main story. In the next part, I will continue with extra part. Although I said I wanted to go on a trip, I actually didn't have a destination in mind. When I brought up traveling back then, it was only because I knew Zhang Yuehuan would refuse. I had deliberately set it up as an excuse to break up. Now that he was actually willing to accompany me, I couldn't seem to choose a destination. So I just said we would go another time. He offered to help me move my luggage from my friend's house to the car. My friend was home. Zhang Yuehuan hesitated in the car for a long while. I knew he had social anxiety, so I said thoughtfully, it's okay, I'll grab it myself. Just wait in the car like a good boy. He hesitated before asking, is there a lot of luggage? I shook my head. Not much. He let out a sigh of relief. After I got off the car, I suddenly heard a loud bang behind me. The sound of a car door slamming shut. I turned around and saw Zhang Yuehuan getting out of the car as well. He looked a bit uneasy and said, I'll go up with you. Then he added, I want to be with you. A warmth spread through my heart. I led him upstairs, and when we reached the door, I said, you can just wait here. There's no need for you to meet anyone. Zhang Yuehuan obediently stood at the entrance. I had already contacted my friend in advance. After entering, I greeted her briefly before starting to pack my things. Not long after, I heard voices talking outside. Pulling my suitcase along, I stepped out and saw my friend standing at the door, happily greeting Zhang Yuehuan. Zhang Yuehuan, however, stood there stiffly, his face tense, and didn't say a single word. My friend's smile was barely holding up, clearly feeling awkward. Quickly, I handed my suitcase to Zhang Yuehuan. He visibly relaxed, grabbed the suitcase, and took off like he was fleeing for his life. The moment he left, my friend grumbled in dissatisfaction. "What kind of guy are you dating? So rude." I explained, "He has social anxiety. It's not that he has any issues with you." I also told her about us living together. My friend was dumbfounded, but eventually expressed understanding. Carrying the luggage home. Jang Yo-hwan still looked nervous. I tried to distract him. "When did you learn to drive?" He answered honestly, "My family forced me to." "Forced you?" "Yeah, they wanted me to learn essential survival skills. I even learned taekwondo, so if I get kidnapped again, I can fight back." "Wow, that's impressive." He finally relaxed a bit and smiled, starting to tell me stories about his past. His family lived on a mountain, and the first time he practiced driving, he actually got lost. I laughed so hard. "Getting lost at home? You're the first one. Is it because you don't go out much?" "Yeah." We chatted idly about random things as we made our way back home. When we arrived, he had me sit on the sofa and watch TV while he went to the room to clean it again. He even replaced the bed sheets and duvet cover, making everything spotless before letting me in. I set down my luggage, and he immediately came over, ready to help me tidy up my things. "There's no need. I'll do it myself." For some reason, that sentence seemed to upset him. His ears drooped, and he walked away looking pitifully dejected. I quickly said, "All right, you can help me tidy up." His ears perked up instantly, and he happily arranged all my belongings with enthusiasm. After spending some time together, I finally understood why he felt upset that day when I didn't let him touch my things. Jang Yo-hwan thought of himself as someone with no charm and had no idea how to win a girl's heart. Over the years, he had little experience in this area, so he often felt at a loss. Previously, I had complimented him on how good he was at cleaning the house and how delicious his cooking was. Because of that, he came up with every possible way to help me clean, organize, and cook, hoping to make me happy. He believed that he was good at these two things, and since I liked them, he decided to go all out. I gave him a thumbs up and said, "Yes, well done. I really like this about you." His eyes lit up. "Then, does that make me a good boyfriend?" "It does." And so I began living a life where everything was handed to me on a silver platter. When Jang Yo-hwan once again brought up wanting to travel, I could not help but ask, "Why do you insist on going out? Aren't you socially anxious?" Jang Yo-hwan pressed his lips together. "Back then, when I refused to go out with you, you dumped me and broke up." Oh, so he was still feeling anxious about that. I scratched my head. Traveling? Well, it's possible, but... He grew nervous. "But what?" I stared at him suspiciously. "Are you up to it?" He instantly got angry. "Never ask a man if he's up to it." Jang Yo-hwan was not up to it. Considering his social anxiety, I deliberately chose a destination surrounded by natural scenery, a vacation on an island. That way we could enjoy the beauty of nature, relax, and have some leisure time. I did not expect so many people to have the same idea as me. The island was crowded. Jang Yo-hwan was terrified. He hid in the hotel and refused to step out. Just to add, he was so afraid of encountering others on the journey that he insisted on booking a private jet for the trip. The entire plane only had the pilot and the two of us. There were no other passengers, not even flight attendants. He played the role of the flight attendant himself. "You can stay here in the hotel. I'll go out and have some fun by myself." Looking at the blue sky and sea outside, my heart itched and I said considerately. Jang Yo-hwan responded with a dejected, "Okay." I changed into my swimsuit, walking confidently out the door while his face turned red with embarrassment. "Wait," I turned back. "Are you coming with me?" He didn't dare to. So I went out by myself. The sea breeze blew gently, the sand was soft, and the view stretched wide and endless. Ah, what a perfect feeling. After playing around for a while, a handsome guy came over to chat me up. "I have a boyfriend," I said. The guy replied, "I don't see you with anyone, though." As he spoke, he leaned in enthusiastically. I frowned and was about to respond when a figure suddenly appeared next to me, shoving the guy away. "Who the hell are you?" "Her boyfriend," Jang Yo-hwan said. The guy left, clearly disinterested now. I looked at Jang Yo-hwan and couldn't help but laugh. On a beach where everyone else was dressed in bikinis and swim trunks, practically bearing everything, he was the only one completely wrapped up, like a vampire afraid of sunlight. I pulled him toward the water's edge, but he refused to go, no matter what, because that was where the most people were. Feeling mischievous, I deliberately started chatting with a random guy. Zhang Yuhuan panicked, rushing over in a fluster, only to be shoved by me straight into the water. He froze for a moment before grabbing hold of me and pulling me in with him. We ended up embracing in the crystal blue sea. Not far away, seagulls circled above. After the trip, Zhang Yuhuan was utterly exhausted, feeling as if all his energy had been drained. As we boarded the private jet, he held my hand tightly and asked, "We won't break up again, right?" My heart softened. "We won't," I replied. He smiled faintly and fell into a deep sleep. I watched him for a while, then leaned in and kissed him lightly on the cheek. We started to resume our normal life again. Zhang Yuhuan was still very socially anxious and a homebody, but when we were together, he would come out and interact. We watched TV together, sat on the sofa chatting, and raised the dog together. He still refused to go out, but I did not force him. Mother Zhang would drop subtle hints about marriage every now and then, worried that I might run off. Honestly, it felt pretty awkward for me because, apart from that one time when Zhang Yuhuan mustered the courage to confess and kissed me, he had never made another move. I even put on some sexy pajamas and walked around in front of him, but he only turned red as a tomato and didn't do anything. No matter how socially anxious he was, there should at least be some physiological reaction, right? Could it be that he has a problem? Zhang Yuhuan was perfectly fine. Since my attempts to seduce him had repeatedly failed, I could not help but confront him directly, asking why he would not touch me. And then it happened. The first time, he was too nervous. It was over in 3 minutes. Afterward, he was deeply shaken and stayed holed up in his room for half a month, refusing to come out. I spent a long time comforting him, coaxing him in every possible way, and only then did he finally come out. I was quite troubled. I was very satisfied with him, but if it was only 3 minutes, how would things go in the future? Half a month later, he overcame his mental block, prepared himself, and initiated a second attempt. Then I started worrying again. This time, it lasted so long that even a wooden stake would spark. How would things go in the future? After more than half a year, Zhang Yuhuan and I got engaged. As the son of the richest family, Zhang Yuhuan's engagement drew congratulations from all sides. The Zhang family was so excited that they practically wanted to announce to the world that Zhang Yuhuan now had a fiancé. On the day of the engagement, the entire banquet venue was packed with people. When Zhang Yuhuan saw the scene, he almost fainted. He still couldn't overcome his psychological barrier. So I thoughtfully said to him, "It's okay, it's just an engagement. I've already prepared for this." Then, I had someone bring out a life-size cardboard cutout of Zhang Yuhuan. The cutout depicted Zhang Yuhuan in a black suit, smiling charmingly, looking incredibly handsome, with his right hand extended. The base of the cutout was fitted with wheels. Wearing a formal gown and adorned with the luxurious jewelry given by Mother Zhang, I held the cutout's extended right hand and gracefully wheeled it to the center of the banquet hall. The entire room. The previously lively hall fell completely silent. Since Zhang Yuhuan wasn't present, I had to hold up the scene on my own. I smiled as I greeted the guests with elegance and composure. Everyone was utterly dumbfounded. Mother Zhang nearly fainted on the spot. Just as I was about to put the ring on myself, Zhang Yuhuan suddenly rushed out from behind, pushed aside the life-size cutout, and personally slipped the ring onto my finger. I was quite surprised. "Why did you come out?" he whispered. "I love you. I wanted to put the ring on you myself in front of everyone, so you can't go back on your word in the future." Then he knelt on one knee, holding the ring up, and said, "Xiao Xiao, will you marry me?" In that moment, tears filled my eyes. Choking up, I said, "Yes." Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. It brings me inspiration to create more interesting stories.